The DNC is imploding, and we should celebrate because that's great. We are happy that the DNC is imploding. Now, in order to lay out why it is imploding, I think we need to recognize some actual realities. Whether or not you like the DNC, and I can imagine if you're watching this show, you don't, you do have to recognize some of the strengths that they have. Lover or hater, Nancy Pelosi has kept the Democratic Party for the last 30 years in lockstep. The one advantage that the libs in the Democratic Party have had is the fact that none of them stray the course. They all vote like sheep in a herd, and that's why they can win elections. On the Republican side, one of the greatest things about being a conservative is we have different opinions. We have different ideas of how things should be run, and we debate them and we decide together as a collective how we should move forward. You might say that diversity is our strength. At the same time, that's not a very easy thing to deal with in actual elections. Finding a cohesion in a party that has so many different opinions and allows those opinions to be said sometimes can be very difficult. On the other side, the Democratic Party, being sheep that they are, have always been, well, it's easy to coalesce. They are losing that advantage. In a meeting in the latter part of last month, one of the new vice presidents of the DNC, a guy named David Hogg, refused to sign a pact that said, hey, we're not going to primary Democrats with Democrat money. He said, nope, absolutely not. In other words, this is a small fracture, but a telling one in the fact that Democrats, having their one advantage being cohesion, even that is breaking apart. Which, again, music to my ears and should be to yours. Here to comment on that and so much more is Adrienne Gray, host of Pop Culture on the Hill, and Gavin Wax, the chairman of the New York Young Republicans. Guys, thanks so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
Great to be here.
Gavin, let me start with you on this one. Considering the fact that you've seen Republicans, again, it's one of the best things about us, and sometimes the more difficult things about us when it comes to elections, being all over the place in terms of how we're going to do things. Democrats have not had that problem, but it looks like they're gonna start having that problem. I don't know, what does this look like in the midterms and the next presidential?
Well, I don't know what it's going to look like because Democrats have a tendency to create many genders, and I think they're going to create as many factions to match each gender. You're going to see a pansexual faction of the party break off from the hetero-queer section of the party. It's going to be a really messy situation. I'm not going to be able to keep up with all the binary, non-binary internal disputes, but I welcome it. I think it's going to be great for our electoral process, our electoral chances going into the midterms and all the down ballot races to have a very fractured Democrat Party. As you mentioned in the open, historically, they've been able to march in lockstep, but now we're starting to see with them out of power and really leaderless and not having that great of a bench, they're starting to bust at the seams. So it looks like their new illustrious vice chairman, Mr. Hogg, has a lot on his plate. And I encourage them to continue to duke out all of their little debates internally and let the best man, woman, or they win.
How you got through that with not cracking a smile was very impressive. Adrienne, so, the part of the reason that the Democrats have been able to stay in lockstep is because power is kind of doled out from the top. In the modern age, and I'm sure you're aware of this in the pop culture world, you can create your own power. AOC has done it, David Hogg has done it, and that actually it makes it more difficult for people to remain in that lockstep. What kind of influence on the Democratic Party do these kind of newer members who already have platforms have? And do you think that they're going to be able to kind of continue, falling in line, or are they going to go all over the place, which hopefully inevitably means conservatives win more?
Yeah, this is crazy. This party is so at odds with each other. It's crazy. The DNC isn't just fractured, it's giving group project energy, but no one is doing the work. And when David Hogg won't pledge allegiance to the woke flag anymore, you're in trouble. Your star recruits that are activists who won't pledge loyalty, the ship isn't sinking, it's in full mutiny. So the DNC is now a circus without a ringleader, and like I said, it's a nightmare. So I'm curious to see what happens here.
Yeah, it's hard to not smile at the chaos that's going on in the DNC.